I've been busy this afternoon here painting the first coat onto my track over here. So I already went ahead and scraped off the top rails, but got a good color going here. Disregard the color that is all over the ground surface and just concentrate on the rail. I had these areas taped off so our contact areas didn't get any overspray. We'll go in and touch up those spots with the same color. I'll have to mix something similar. But if we get down here, you can kind of see the rail color. I like that rail color. So that'll look pretty nice. Hopefully everything else works out good. What I used over here is this primer. A guy named Al Judy, who I absolutely love online, he's a Facebook group I'm in. I asked him, because he does some really nice stuff. And he said to use this stuff for the rails, and then, so that's what we're at. That's what we're doing. I got a little flat red, so we got the dull finish on him, on the rails too. So that's it. And remember to wear your safety goggles and mask when you're doing this stuff. And do it in a well-ventilated area, because it's an aerosol can and it's kind of enamel based. I stood back about 12 inches to spray most of this. Had a little board up on the front portion, even though that's going to be masonite, but I wanted to protect all that for now anyway. But this is where we're at. So I'm getting some earth coloring down in between the rails. It's still wet and drying here, but that's the idea. Not looking too bad. You never know when white might show, or in my case it was all reddish brown, so I may even do a second coat, or I may not, because all the ground cover will cover it anyway. But always good to get a layer down real quick. It didn't take long. Okay, so I thought I'd show you guys just how these little brackets are working. This is underneath the layout, okay? This is my woodwork here for the layout. Let's go up, I'll show you. All right, track. These are the brackets by Buzz, okay? So while I'm loosening these, I'm going to be working underneath again. I want to take these off. So they're just an Allen wrench bolt, as you can see right there. So, right? And, you know, you drill that piece up. I'll show you that as soon as I take it off, okay? But I've got another one here to loosen, okay? So when I you know, it's just a one or two turn like this. So get it to the back side here. It's hard to do it one hand, but I want to show you. So to go this way just loosens it, okay? All right, let's get this, there we go, loosens. And then I can put it in this way and usually just start spinning away. And it takes it right out. See it coming out? Because there's a threaded piece going into this wood stud right here. But let me take them all off. There's only 4. And I'll put it up on its side and I'll show you. Okay, so all the bolts are out. Right here, there's 4 of them. And so everything's cleared off of here. The only thing I have to be careful of, you can't see it right now, but on both ends, I have those track bumpers. I've already cracked them off once, flipping this up on its side. But now that all the bolts are off from these 4 brackets, I just tilt it up on its side and pull it out a little bit. And we just tilt it up like so. Make sure it's away from the wall so I don't crack the track bumpers. And I'm just going to do some quick wiring under here to connect these two over here. So, but that's how that lifts up. So, okay, so I spent the evening getting my masonite hardboard fascia put on. But I didn't go step by step, and that's my apologies, but there was some figuring out that needed to be done. But to start, okay, the masonite, I bought a 4-foot by 2-foot sheet at Home Depot and trimmed it down in 3.5-inch wide strips for this shelf. You can see here from this end to this seam is 4 foot. Then we go down to this seam, another 4 foot, and then the remaining piece. So I ripped those, okay? But to start, first thing I did was take this off, which was initially on the framework under here before we did this masonite. And I had to drill a hole through and jig back out the same rectangular fitting for our board here. Got that to fit. Had to go back and find the holes for each screw. That worked out real well and clean, okay? Now the buttons, before I put the masonite on, I had to drill holes that were about 3/8 inches before putting the masonite on. Reason being that the top half of this button is much narrower than the bottom half. And there's a piece underneath that grabs, which I can't show you right now, but let me go grab one of these buttons and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so back to the button. See this bottom half here that's black, right? This part right here that my thumb is on, that black part. I had to cut a hole that would make this back portion, this is the back portion that grabs on, okay? And then the screw, you can see the threads. That screw back here is what you'll see right up here on the top. So we had to make a more narrow hole through the masonite and a larger hole through the framework underneath so that we could get this to fit all the way up and in. As you can see right there, it has to go up and in through this 1/2 inch thick plywood, or 1x4 or 1x3, I should say. So I had to cut that 3/8 inch hole, then mount the masonite, and then I used a smaller bit from underneath and centered it the best I could and popped it up through here so that it would give me a location to drill the much larger needed about 1/4 inch, or yeah, just a little bit more than 1/4 inch to fit these threads through and the button. And then when you pop it up and through, you tighten a little excuse me, you tighten this little guy around the neck of it, and voila, you have your button insert. So that's what we did tonight. To adhere the masonite, what I did was I put down liquid nails for projects, and then ran these screws across. And when I paint over this, we'll paint right over these screws. We will remove, excuse me, the buttons and this face, the face of the NCE controller insert. We'll remove all of that, like this stuff. Okay, we've got 5 turnouts. 1, 2, 3, 4. This 5. And we'll remove all those, and we'll just roll a nice roller over the top of this. I'm not sure what color yet, but that's where we are at. And you won't see these screws as much, and I'll show you what I mean. So on my previous N scale layout, I used the same screws. These are the ones you just saw are the remaining of what I purchased about 4 years ago when putting the fascia on this. And you can see from a distance that it really doesn't get in the way. It just helps support those pieces on there and keeps them nice and stable with some liquid nails behind it. Okay, so we're getting ready to paint this fascia. I bought some paint, and I actually filled in the little gaps. I have two gaps. You can see one down there a little bit, and one here, and I let that dry for a few days, pretty good. And then I take one of my favorite sanders, which is one of these, okay, and I like to work it outward like that and smooth it, so that when we paint this, we shouldn't see this line right here. I just want to have it look really nice, since it's just a, sorry, I'm moving all over the place. Since it's just a nice shelf layout in my office, I just want to have the fascia looking pretty decent. The color I purchased is really close to this, just slightly lighter. But I think we're good. Everything seems to be all sanded down here. I removed my NCE faceplate and my buttons. That will go back in these holes after the paint dries. But next, we'll start applying paint. I end up liking my color choice. I picked this up at Home Depot. Yeah, I got, what did I get? I believe this is, it's called Nut Brown, but they do a mix, and I think this is, I can't remember if it's a satin or not. I didn't want it too shiny. It's about the lowest gloss you can get where you can actually clean it. I didn't want too much reflectivity and shine on it, so it's by Bear, and it's they mixed it with an interior eggshell enamel bead base. But once again, the color was called Nut Brown. All right, we'll see how this looks. So as you can see, that did not take very long. This is kind of our color. Let me see if I can get a good angle. Yeah, it's rough down here in this room, but it's a neutral mid-tone brown. It looks lighter, I can see on video, but it should dry a little darker too. On video here, I'm looking at it as I'm walking around, and it looks a bit more yellowish, lighter gray, but in reality, it has a very close brown look to hardboard, but just a little bit lighter. So yeah, first coat's down. I'm gonna let this sit, and then we'll come back in a little while and hit it with another one. First coat looking really good. I'm gonna hit it with one more coat. You can see it has a little sheen to it, just enough to clean it off if you get any boo-boos on it, you know, while you're doing your layouts and such. So just wanted to show you this color again. This is why I need to do one more coat. I can see it a little bit here. Some of the spackle and stuff, you know, like that. Okay, so our fascia is all painted and complete. Our push buttons are back on. Nice clean finish. I really didn't want to do it green like my other N scale layout here, so just kept it simple, make it look a little more workstation like, but who knows what's going up on this layout. Probably gonna have some structures and things up there too, but that's it. Okay, so I'm in the process here of dry brushing some wood tie coloring. I've got like a middle tone brown, and then I have like a lighter sand color here, and then a cooler, lighter, cooler gray, I should say. So, and I'm just kind of dry brushing. I got this brush here, and I dip in, right? I'll show you. I just kind of dip in here, and I brush it on this little sponge I have taped to my thing, and then I just go in and I just start not painting the rail. Just start dry brushing, you know, to get a color going across there. other than this ugly red that we have, you know? So the idea is to just get this main tone, and I'm trying to leave the little rail plates, the things that connect the rails to the wood ties, kind of trying to leave those, you know, a little darker and and kind of rusted at this point. It's a step-by-step process. You can see what I've done here. I have 3 layers going of all 3 of these colors right here. I'm starting with this one. Then I cover most of the wood ties with this, not all. Just try to dry, the whole dry brushing idea is to keep that texture on the ties, right? And then I come back with a little less in areas of this beige color or, you know, light sand. And then at the end, I get even brighter in various spots that are really, really getting old. The wood's getting old, and takes on 2 of these lighter colors. And since mine is a yard, I'm trying to make this look as greasy and as weathered as it possibly can. I really don't have a main line. If there is a main line coming through here, which there really isn't, we're just going to have, you know, beat up wood ties. So that's my idea, and I'm just showing you here. So let me get to work on a little bit more of this. I have to put my palette down while I'm doing some of this, but just so you guys can continue to see how it's going. You know, we do a little bit of that, and then we come on into the outside. In some cases, I'm kind of scrubbing it in, you see. Let me go back from this side here. We're going to work over here. You may be off camera for a second, but I have a little bit that I needed to finish up that I connected a little further on down. But now we're coming in, so you can kind of see. You see, just kind of scrub it in. See, and you get all kinds of different textures. It's, you know, maybe there's more on the left side, maybe there's a little more in the middle, you know. And then some of it I just leave. But for the most part, I want to get rid of that that red color we used for the rail, that rusted red. But it's okay to have some of that. At this point, that's where I'm at. Now I'm going to come to the outside of the wood ties here. That. Just kind of scrub it in. That. It's kind of nice having the camera here overhead. It helps me see what still looks red and what doesn't. I'm just going to keep going here a little bit on the outside of these ties. I'll take it to off camera and then come back to the lower side here. You know, I have to keep going back to the palette a lot because we're dealing with a lot of dry paint, right? So you only get so much life out of it before you can scrub any more out of that brush. So, getting there. But I just wanted to show you a little bit of the technique. Now, we don't have to, you or I do not have to like a lot of the coloring that's happening here. It's like a step-by-step process. I know where I'm going with it, but we're definitely not there yet, okay? So I'm not even critiquing where I'm at with any of this yet. All right, let's see. So I'll go right up to about there. And when I start working into the switches here, let's do that. There I'm a little bit, I want to be a little more careful. So I'm going to kind of come down here. I don't know if you'll be able to see everything, but you know, we have those switch machines underneath, and I want to, the reason some of this here around the, I should say the leg of the switch, okay? This piece here, you know, I don't want to get too much paint stuck in there, but it's also darker because I wanted it to look a little greasier in those areas because they have to keep those switches lubricated And I don't mind that I don't get really light in that area. I want to make it look like, you know, they have to keep coming back and oiling uh, oiling that up, keeping it lubricated. So, and I just kind of come through sideways. And you know, we want to be careful. We don't want too much paint gooped up along those rails there either, so that they can keep moving. And we don't want to get paint, as most of you, I'm sure, if you've already been in the model railroading, you know, you don't want to get any paint in here, because, you know, you'll have to clean that out. That's the electrical contact. So, and if you get any paint on the rails, I have my trusty, whether you like to use the bright boy or whatever, as we like to call them, even though they're not called that very often anymore, but I use that to just run back over the rails after I got all my area covered with my 3 colors. You know, see, I stay in the middle here, all right, just to keep that rusted look on the railroad, the rail plates, I should say. Just want to keep those areas a little darker, a little rusted, and it doesn't hurt. I think what you guys are seeing up there is this is all creating a little more depth along the rails too. You know, when you look at it from the side, it's creating a little more, I should say a lot more depth, okay? Because now we're dropping into these rails and almost cheating the shadow. At the same time, we're trying to make it look a little rustier, a little, you know, greasier. It's really hard to tell how our paint job is coming out on these wood ties until we get ballast in there. But this is going to be the foundation of the wood tie coloring. Okay, and from here, you know, we'll ballast, you know, eventually, and then we'll take a look at the rails again, and we may go back and start adding some other colors to each wood tie. So, you know, that's the plan. You know, I know that I'm going to go with a lighter, probably a lighter gray ballast, lighter to mid-tone gray ballast. And knowing that, that's why you're seeing some of the highlighted, really light areas happening here, okay? Because this is, you know, this is also coloring the ties to say, you know, they collect dust from the gravel, from the ballast, and a series of other things. So, as you can see, that's our first coat. So, we kind of have that lighter coat going right now. I think everything right now has that first initial coat. This is a final. This is where I'm at so far, and you can see how I'm going to go a little lighter in spots. And you may not be picking it up wonderfully from this view, but I just wanted to show you the dry brushing technique that's happening here, okay? Well, that's about it for this round of wood tie dry brushing. And we're not going to be able to see much until we have the ground cover down and the, you know, the ballast. But not bad for a start. They're really going to end up looking beat up, as I said, and it'll have like some weeds coming up through it, and that's the whole idea. But for now, we're going to leave it just like this. And I think next step, I really want to start putting in the switching the turnout signals. It is a beautiful day here in the Midwest. I got my windows open, but thought I would just take a little time out of my day and work on painting these guys right here. What we're going to do is, these are going to be my turnout signals, and these are by DCC Concepts. They're DCC Concepts ground signals. And we're going to be installing these next into my little switching layout. All right. But what I want to do is something that the DCC guy did. I want to do the same thing. He makes a good point. I'm going to paint these little blocks that the signals are sitting on. I want to paint those a concrete color, and one of my favorite concrete colors from way back in the day. I haven't been using these paints very often, and one reason is because they don't distribute them anymore. They do not make them. But let me put this cap back on. I'll show you what I got. These are my Model Master acrylic. I used these since way back in the 90s, and just currently, about last year, the year before, they were slowly fading them out. I used to get them at Hobby Lobby and also way back in the Train Hobby stores. But this is one of my favorite concrete colors right here. And before they closed out, I bought about 3 or 4 of these a couple years back. This is Flat Gull Gray by Model Master. Might be hard to find these days, possibly on eBay. But this is a great concrete color. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start painting these bottom parts coming up. So I've already started painting one here. The Model Master paint always needs a couple coats, but this is about what I'm going to do with these, okay? So we have a black plate sitting there on a little concrete block. These will look really neat, I think. So, as I paint one, I'm going to continue to put them back into their little slot so they can dry without touching. Put that off to the side, grab another one. Just showing you briefly my technique for painting these. You know, you got to get plenty of paint on your brush. A lot of people are afraid to do that. I'm an artist by trade. By no means am I perfect, but just not nervous about having a lot of paint on there, because believe it or not, more paint sometimes gives you better control for straight lines because it pulls in. When it's dry on your brush, there's more opportunity for failure on trying to get that straight line, if you can understand that, because then you got to sit there and keep trying to draw it in real finicky. But there's another one, and each time I do another block to paint, I'm cleaning my brush real quick, because the Model Master paint tends to build up, and then you get like little bits and pieces in there on your brush stuck. So, and the first 4 are ready to set aside and dry. So we got those over here, and we'll come back and we'll hit them briefly with a second coat. Now, a lot of the time when I'm painting stuff like this and I get like this wash color, I'll look at it and sometimes I go, oh, you know, it already kind of looks like it's a little weathered and dirty. I think in this case, though, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to throw another coat over this first batch right now, just to see how that goes. Okay, so let's pull one of these out. I'm done with the first coat on all of these, and I'm just going to add another coat. But I think when I do this, what I want to do is not do too much. Like, I'm just going to do like that, and then just kind of hit it quickly. I think whatever I end up on this second coat will be good enough for what I want to do. But That second coat really needs to be, being familiar with this paint, heavy. See, now that should do it for a final coat. Okay, so these are all done and ready to be inserted into the layout. All right, next I'm gonna figure out where we need to install these. Where are the best locations for placing the signals on a regular, realistic layout? That's coming up next. Okay, well, I have a 7 30 drill bit here, and that is not so much to make sure this fits through the hole going into the layout, but more so the plugs. I'm going to be using these plugs, and we'll show you that later, but these plugs will plug into a little board to operate these. All right, so just to point that out before I start drilling, that's what we're going to start with. So I've carefully taken the time with everything underneath this layout, wiring and such, on where to locate each one of my signals for both sides. So next thing we're going to do, you can see there are my little dots here with my marker. This is where the signals are going to go. Okay, there's 2 there, and then we've got 2 here, and then we got 2 back here. So next is to drill these holes in. Okay, so I drilled my first hole here, and we are good. This little plug fits right in nicely through there, and then I can pull this down and through. All right. And there it is, voila, it's going to face this direction. It has to face this direction so that I can see it on the layout, but our first one is in. Okay, so I have all of my signals are running through the holes right now, and I'm going to get ready to glue them with my trusty glue here and a toothpick. But you can see them on the layout, kind of positioned. They're not glued in place yet, but really neat feel with those signals. I can't wait to hook them up electrically. But what we're going to do here is I'm just going to put some glue on this piece of paper, get it on my toothpick, and then I'm going to hit the undersides with glue here all the way around. Good amount of glue, and then position it back through the hole. We'll be back when we're done. All right. So we have all the switch signals in, glued in place, and they're really nice. The light fixtures actually swivel, so if you need to change the direction of them, they actually spin like so. See, they turn. But our little concrete block is in position and glued, and they're ready for electrical connecting, and we'll get to that in the next phase here. All right, everybody, so what I'm going to do, you're zoomed in at the moment, but I'm going to flip up my layout on my shelf. So this here is the setup. This is the little board that comes with the DCC Concepts ground signal. I purchased 3 to a pack, and this thing's called it's ground signal interfaces. I have 3 to a pack because I have 6 turnouts, and this thing switches your lights from red to green depending on the way that you turn your switch. Okay, I hope that makes sense, but that's what this is right here. So I had to go in, and I had to, they give you this set of wires to for plugging in. You can see there's a black, a green, and a red. This plug plugs into the interface. So we're going to install a new one here in just a moment, and I'll show you what I did here. Okay, here we have both of our ground signal wires with the plugs coming down, which I showed how I inserted those through these holes through the bottom. And then we're going to take this plug with these wires right here. Okay, we got the green for the frog and the red and black for our power supply. Now we're going to be going into these three of my IP digital. If you have an IP digital, this is great. So you just insert the green with the green, the red with the red, and the black with the black. Once you get those inserted and you install your board, which I'm going to have to figure out where we want to put this, then this plugs in to the side that says, for me, IP digital for DCC. But you can use these for DC also. That's a different setup, and that's not what we're going to be doing here. And then both of these signal wires right here will plug into the other side. There's a spot here that shows that. And if you get to the top and you notice that the lights are reversed, your green and your red are reversed depending on which way your switch is turned, you just swap these two around. You just switch them to the opposite way and they'll... So first things first, I have got to... What I've been doing is taking one out of here at a time, but I think I can take them all out because I can see I've got the green on the top, got the red in the middle, and the black on the bottom, which is what I had for the one I did over there. Right now, these are just loose wires because they fit in there really well by themselves, but when I was working on this one and attaching these little wires to the sides of it, it just wasn't working. So what I did over here was I got a little bit of solder on these wires towards the bottom. And I soldered these, not a whole lot because these holes are small. So I'm spinning the wire here a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead, okay, I don't think we need to film all this, but I'm going to go ahead and take each one of these wires that are hanging down here. I'm going to put the black with the black like this. And then I'm going to put the green with the green and the red with the red. I'm going to solder them together because it's a little tricky, and I don't think you want to stick around for seeing all of that. Okay, so far not as bad and as long as I thought it might take. But we've got them all connected to our plug here. So now next is just inserting them. Okay, it took a little finagling, but I figured out a good way to do it. I had to use tweezers to get those guys in there. But we got that connected. All right, signals are plugged in. Now we're going to run this to my IP digital side, right here. All right, there you go. Plug that in as far as it can go. Now I'm not going to screw that in yet, but doing this allows me to see just where I can install this and where it might be a good spot. Probably right about there. But for now, let's let that dangle for a sec. We're going to flip it back down and we'll see what kind of operation we got. Let's see if we have to flip anything in the other direction and whatnot. So very carefully now, I'm going to maneuver this back down. Okay, in position on the brackets. I think we're good. Nothing's getting squashed under there. All right, so these are the two signals we just connected. All right, I got to get some power and I'll show you how these things work. We'll be right back, okay? So fortunately, I can turn these so that you can see them. Fortunately, these are in the correct position. The turnout is coming to this side, so it's green, and that's good. That's what we want. So I don't have to switch the plugs back, but you can see how these look, okay? Okay, so here are the turnouts, and let me pull back, I'm sorry. As you can see, the straightaway is green, means it's good to go. And red is over here, that's closed off. That way they know when they're coming and entering the turnout, which way to go. Now I'll just switch that back. And that's it. That's how easy it is to install these. And right down there, you can see my little board hanging. But, well, that's going to be it. I'll show you just that one, and then when I'm all done, we'll come back. But I guess I will put this back up, and I'll just show you how I place these in position and screw them in. All right, so I got this one all screwed in. They supply you with a bunch of screws. I just used two, one in each corner here, and I fastened it by hand. I get my screw up there and I start pushing into the soft wood. I don't use my power drill for this. I don't want to crack these interfaces. And then I keep tightening it ever so carefully on both sides, not to over tighten, but just to make it snug enough. Now these have a foam backing on the top here. The part that's up against the wood has a foam backing. So these are, you know, if you have IP digital switch machines, like I said, these are really handy. I have to solder mine because my wires are so big. It would be a pain trying to squeeze the little one and the larger one into each one of these holes. So we're all set. We got the green with the green, the red with the red, and the black with the black, and they work flawlessly. So, and I'll probably go back and check the brightness, but they have, like I said, they have that nifty little thing you could put a screwdriver in and get them real bright or dim them down. So anyways, that's it for these. And the next time I come back, I'll have the other four all installed, and we'll have some fun operating all these light signals. Well, I think that just about covers everything that I wanted to show here in this second installment of my switching industrial layout yard shelf layout here that I have going in my office. I hope there's some things in there that, you know, maybe, you know, help you out on your layout. And that's really the main reason I share this here, is because if I can give anybody else ideas that they can work off of, because that's where I get ideas, right here on YouTube. And I get it from all of you out there and all of you model railroaders. And, you know, it's just a great place to find creative stuff and see what other people are doing, the products they're buying that you didn't know were there. So that's why I wanted to share all of this again with you. And I hope by the next time we meet up on the third video for this layout, that we'll cover some ballast. We'll lay down some ballast here. We'll maybe weather the track a little bit more. And I know I want to have some access roads coming over these rails and in between them. And then I have to figure out exactly what kind of facilities that I want to put on this layout. Because the fun part about a switching layout is you have to have facilities to deliver the train cars that come in. So That's what we'll be getting into next time. Thank you again. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you again soon.